welcome back to the Shuffle Squad. Zach Lesage here. Today we're going to be doing another tier list video. I added some new icons onto this list, including Archaladon with the Poison package, Ancient Box, and Lily's Clefairy box with Teal Mask Ogrepon. So I took some suggestions, found some decks that are cool to add to this list. So if there's any other decks that you want me to add to the list, let me know in the description. Other than that, totally would love if you like, shared, subscribed this video, and we'll jump into it. I kind of changed it to go the best, really good, kind of bad, really bad decks. I think that makes it pretty clear here, and it probably makes it easier for me to sort the decks. If your deck falls into any category that you don't like, just so you know, this video is for entertainment purposes only. I do think that I'm valuing my early opinion on how I think things are. I'm not always right. Prove me wrong, win the regionals. Decks like Palafin that might end up being kind of bad might be worthwhile to look into. So we'll see exactly how things work out, but I do want to let everyone know that as much as I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or hate on your deck, some decks are going to be not the best. So feel free to watch the video or feel free not to watch the video. I play all these decks anyway, so we'll kind of go from there. So we're gonna kick things off, and I'm just gonna start kind of randomly clicking Slowking. If I can click properly. Slowking is a deck that I think most people think is the best. The Slowking believers are the loudest, but I think the deck is kind of bad. Not really bad and not kind of good. So I think the real change here is maybe I'll put this as mid. I think I might change that at mid. That seems fair, right? We'll go with mid. Slowking I think is worse than mid. It's starting to get to the kind of bad territory. So we'll see. I think that's where I think like it doesn't have all the, like, I'm losing my words on Slowking, y'all. Slowking has the makings of a pretty good deck. It's not as good as other decks that do the same thing better. It's also single prize card Pokemon, and the deck's a little bit flimsy. Those are the reasons why I'm putting it kind of bad. We're gonna go Archaladon double. I think that deck's mid. It's like mid to really good. Like if I had 7, it'd probably be easier to place it, because it's probably slightly better than mid, but not too much. It just doesn't have all the same power that I want. Whereas the Archaladon with the Poison package is starting to become really good. I don't think it's part of the best, but I think it's definitely starting to get up there. So I'm going to update my list later on for that. Mamoswine is a deck that I think is probably kind of bad. I want to put it at mid. It's like there's something there, but right now the list that I'm seeing are kind of bad. Having all these stage 2 Pokemon EX decks, not really where I want it to be. I like the card a lot. It's not where I want it to be as a deck, and I haven't invested the time into building this deck yet. So it's one of those things where like I need to work on the deck to move it out of kind of bad, or I need to see a list that moves it out of kind of bad. It's probably gonna end up being mid, but maybe it will surprise me really good. Goldango to Dunsparce. I think this deck is mid. I want to put it closer to really good. We don't have like a great way to put it there. It doesn't necessarily fit above where I want it to be. Like Dango has struggles with Terra Box, whereas Archaladon doesn't necessarily have all the same struggles as this deck. I think Gardevoir to me is also mid nowadays. I could see it moving up to like really good or good. Probably need to adjust some of these categories to make it 7 categories going forward, but that's the list this week. Conkeldurr I'm gonna put towards, this is tough. We have access to some poison stuff, so I think Conkeldurr is probably kind of bad and not really bad. That's where I want to put it. Feraligatr I want to put towards mid. I think it's like more like not where I want it to be than it to be really good. It's very like cool to set up. It's very good once it sets up. I think getting it set up makes it tough. And maybe it needs to be above, but we'll just see how it goes. Future Box I think is kind of bad, not really where I want it to be in this format, not really holding its own in the format. Charizard Pidgeot, definitely going to be a mid deck, not really where I want it to be. Whereas Charizard Noctowl is up there. I think it's really good, pretty close to like the top. Greninja, not where I want it to be. Greninja Xatu, it's like really bad. I don't think it's just like we're trying to make Greninja work so bad that we're adding Xatu to the deck. Maybe I need to adjust my take on that, but like in order to get Greninja to work, we need Xatu. Come on. We lost double turbo energy. Sometimes decks aren't supposed to work. Blissey Monkey Dory, probably going to put into the mid category. Not exactly the best, not exactly the worst. Definitely can rock with any deck that's mid tier and above. Decks that are kind of bad probably need some work. Decks that are really bad are definitely like those warriors that want to play it at every single cup. Clefairy Box, I think, is probably mid. Might be better than mid. Might be good. But it's not really good. And it's one of those things where I want to see it become really good. Like, I'm close to putting it here, but the list isn't where people are. And it's one of these newer decks where it's playing Lily, Lily's Pearl, all that stuff. So I want to kind of explore that. Hopzation, kind of bad. Not necessarily cutting it in testing. A little bit slow, a little bit too clunky. Great Tusk, same thing. Not really cutting it where we want it to be. But it might end up becoming a little bit better. We'll see. Goldango Dragapult, I'm gonna put at mid. I don't necessarily feel how this deck works. It's not like something that I want. Like it's not working the way that I want in my brain, and I can't necessarily put it there. Same thing with I'm gonna put Ancient Box is kind of bad. Not really cutting it in this format. A lot of really high HP, doesn't get through the things that we want. Archaladon to Dunsparce, it's like mid. I think most Archaladon decks are okay, but this one's like just like okay. I think that Dragapult's Blood Moon is probably just okay in this format, not as good as what we wanted in for previous formats, but Dragapult Dusknoir is probably going to be one of our first the best decks, and that's probably going to be reserved like to the top 3 decks in formats. You can see that there's going to be a pretty big drop off. Milotic, probably going to put it really good. I think some of these wall stall decks have a huge opportunity to see success. Roaring Moon in this format, I mean, it can knock out Pikachu and you can knock out Dragapult. It's probably like mid. I'd say mid's going to be our good category here. I might need to readjust some things, so we might readjust afterwards. Terapagos, feeling kind of bad. Not really where I want it to be in this format, not really holding its own. Hydrapple, I think Hydrapple is one of these Pokemon that's like not cutting it in the format. Same thing, Hydreigon. Hydreigon might actually end up being kind of bad, not really bad, but I think Hydrapple is just not where we want it. Dragapult Xatu seems pretty mid when it comes down to it. Not as good as we want. Wallstall seems not as good as Milotic. Why would you be playing normal Wallstall when you could be playing Milotic Wallstall? Iron Hands, also not really cutting in this format. Raging Bolt Noctowl, pretty good. The best, actually. I think that it can hold its own against most decks in the metagame. Same thing with Terrabox. We're just going to put those 3 up there. I saw it. Looks good. Raging Bolt seems kind of great here. In the kind of bad category, at least. With the Belly Bolt, it's just not putting up the results that we want. And that's fair. Ceruledge, probably in the same category. Not really pushing where we want it to be. Enzork, probably going to be in the same category up here as well, where it's mid, it's not as good as we want it to be. Dango, same category, not where we really want it to be. Dango's kind of fallen into the mid category in general. Same thing with Archaladon outside the poison variants. So I'm going to put the same thing right here. It's just they're stage 1 Pokemon EX plus Scizor. Not really inventive, not as good as the poison package, not really crushing it. Dragapult Charizard, probably here as well. Running out of things. Charizard to Dunsparce probably ends up being kind of bad. Eevee Box probably ends up being really good, actually. Frostlass Monkey Dory probably ends up being kind of bad. And I think Palafin ends up becoming really bad. I think this is probably fine. I know it doesn't necessarily go over a lot of explanations, but it did like kind of spit out what was in my brain. I think the biggest issue that I have with this list is I probably need to have a kind of good and the worst categories. I think I need to basically have a 7-layer tier list going forward to help get the mid and the kind of bad categories right now, because there's a bunch of decks that I don't know, like Gardevoir. Like I could go like Gardevoir, Fraligator, Clefairy Box, Enzork, Goldango de Dunsparce goes up here, but like I need an extra tier that goes kind of good. So that's really where I'm at, where it's just like I think I can make it a little bit more adjustable, and maybe like the EV box ends up becoming like maybe it goes here and there's not a great space for it, but like right now I think this is a pretty good use of our metagame. I'm going to be covering over a lot of these decks when it comes to gameplay, deck list profiles, top 10 best decks as the week goes on and as Journey Together comes out. So stay tuned for that. These post-rotation tier list videos are really just meant to kind of like have fun, kind of allow me to brain vomit onto a screen and be like, these decks are cool, like, or these decks are bad. Like that's where we're at. And I hope that it's entertaining at the very least. But I think a lot of the top decks are like pretty solidified. Like these are probably the top 3 for most people. These decks are all seeing a lot more play, are like kind of like the tier 1, 1.5 decks. Tier 2 is like really undefined. And that's why like I think I need to define it a little bit more. But we'll see how everything goes out there. I mean, I think a lot of these decks are worthwhile to build. Have fun with it. And again, if there's any other decks that you want to see, let me know. Other than that, I will catch up with all y'all later. Peace out and have a great one. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes.
Tabi no hajimari wa tsune ni michi e no ippo de aru. Sore wa yami e to tsuzuku. 初めの一歩を踏み出すには勇気がいる。そして旅の終わりには旅を始めた時の自分とは別人になっているかもしれない。旅に出よう。物語の次の章がお主を待っている。将軍の道を歩め。侍の箱とともに。アルティメットガードが送る冒険の第一章。刀将軍の道近日発売。
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed the content that we have today, and maybe you'll click on one of these other videos, enjoy those videos too. If you haven't already, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what video you want to watch next. Until next time, we'll catch up with all y'all later. Have yourself a great day.